Hello, and welcome to the I'll Be On You video. This time we're going to be doing some corrupted dungeons with the good old heavy crossbow. One of my favorite weapons for corrupted dungeons, because this thing can poke you from really far away and it hurts. The only downside with the crossbows is probably just getting kited by people. Like if you can't hit the snare traps, or if you don't even have it on, it's going to be very hard to catch people, like basically everybody. But if it ever gets to that point, we could always switch to the Wanderlust on our soldier boots, so we can actually catch up to people. Like you get them low, and then we Wanderlust up to them, so they can't really, outrun us. But that's just like, it's all situational. There's a bunch of things you can change based on who you're fighting, but I think it's easier just to show you guys the fight and kind of explain what the ideal behind, the picking skills is for each opponent. Alright, and like all corrupted dungeons, the first thing you want to do as soon as you see your opponent's name tag is to inspect. And the first thing they keep note of is that the enemy's doing the exact same thing. They're inspecting you, and they're going to swap out the build to have stuff that counters what you're using right now. So that's like the first little dance. Is always like swapping your abilities. Something that you could do to avoid that is just hitting them early on, like just sprinting up and hitting them so they can't swap out of it, which could put them in a bad situation if they don't have any like the right spells on. But it's also risky because you're using up like your sprint and your damage just to stop them from being able to switch. So it's something you can do if you see they have like the wrong abilities selected already. But that's quite situational there. But yeah, so for one thing you should do is always have this little the abilities tab here on the left, have that active, because I think by default you can't see what they have on their abilities. I think it's extremely useful when you're doing corrupted dungeons. Like I can see here, he's got the reflect on his W, and then he has the retaliate on his helmet and the inferno shield, which is why I call it like the reflect spear build. Which, like I said before, I really don't like these because all they do is reflect 24/7, and having a little opening to hit them is kind of rare. So the game plan is pretty simple. We want to stay in combat, like close quarters combat, as much as possible, because I out damage him, and I also have a gig pot to his health pot. So I will get more out of it if he's close to me and fighting. And if he gets to if he kites me away, his healing potion will be more effective if he can gain health while like not taking any damage. So really, what we're trying to do is glue to ourselves to him, and just obviously not hit him while he's doing his reflex, and kind of counter his reflect with our own reflex, or like I use my soldier helmet when he uses his retaliate, just so he can't poke me while he's got his retaliate on. Lucky for us, he didn't have his E when he had his 3 stacks, or else that would have hurt really badly if he just turned around and E'd us there with the 3 stacks. But luckily for us, he didn't have it, so all I had to do here was just poke him with the E. He had almost no health. We had all of our my jacket and my helmet ability were back up, and I just used that to finish out the fight. I'm not gonna lie, this guy was extremely juicy for my little 75k build versus getting 750,000. Like, I think that's a big come up. But our next fight is a little bit tougher of a fight because we're going against dual swords, and like I said, we can't really against dual swords. Kiting is a lot harder to do, especially if they build up their heroic charges. Then they're gonna stick to you like glue. So I had to switch over to the knockback on the crossbow on my W ability, and I had to use that when I could to keep him at bay. But I sadly for me, I misplayed at the beginning because I used it, and I guess as I was using it, he did his jump, and while he's jumping, he's immune to knockback effects. So I lost a lot of health at the start there, and I probably should have like used my helmet or something to avoid that initial like burst damage they had at the start. But after that, all I had to do was keep my distance and just keep poking him from really far away, and there's nothing he could do to close that gap against me. It's still really scary though, because you could just hit that instant snare, that slash ability. Like, I really hate it. I really think they should add like a little bit of a charge time to it, a little bit of a tiny channel, so you can at least see it coming. Because here it's like instantly snared into the jump. It's like, what are you supposed to do against that? But anyways, like, thankfully for me, he didn't play that very well. Like, he should have snared and have his E ready so he could just pounce on me and then just like glue to me there with just auto attacks and getting his charges on me. But that wasn't the case, so it was pretty easy for me just to keep poking him. And even when he had to reflect on, had so much distance between us that all I had to do was walk away. And the rest is pretty much history. Like, I got my helmet up, I got my jacket up, he's got nothing, so it was pretty much a game over there. Sadly, not as much loot as the other guy, so that was kind of disappointing for such a, kind of a sweaty fight on my end. Alright, and the next guy is a Fire Staff, and this is probably one of those builds you'll see the most in the Corrupted Dungeons right now. Like, Fire Staff is quite dominant in the Corrupted Dungeons, at least I personally think so. And here he's got like the Cleric robe as well, so he could definitely out damage me in like a close fight. So here we're going for the long range pokes, and if he tries to cast his E, you know, we got our soldier helmet to kind of block that damage. Also, something to keep in mind is that here he's got the like lower screen advantage, so I can't see him, but he can see me. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to like push him to where I can see him, and luckily for me, he's just giving me plenty of space. And eventually, we get to a spot where I can actually see him and he can see me, and I almost get like the lower screen advantage for a bit. And as you can see there, he really wanted me to fight him on these like lava trap. Because as soon as I got hit by that lava, you saw he used his sprint, and I just saw that E coming, so I preemptively used the soldier helmet. That's going to take a lot of skill for you guys to do, but once you fought on the fire staffs, you kind of get used to what they're all about. Like this guy, you can tell he's got a certain amount of skill with fire staff because he didn't like do the full channel for the E. He tried to do like the quick cancel on it, so it shoots out faster, but it doesn't do as much damage. Alright, so the game plan here is to just keep poking with our E, because right now he's at a massive disadvantage health-wise, and every time he tries to cast his E, I'm going to try and use my soldier helmet to block it. Here I was a little bit too slow on it, but I still have a decent health advantage, so here I thought I could take him on in like the slap fight, but you should never try to like slap fight a fire staff guy, especially when they got cleric and all that. Luckily for me, I didn't proc it, so he didn't get that extra damage. If he did, I would have been fucking screwed there, but luckily for me, I was patient and I didn't hit him while he had it, so it was a pretty not worth it slap fight for me. But yeah, and after that fight, he knew he was in trouble. All of his defenses were down, so he decided to run through mobs. And with that little bit of health, I was hoping something would take him down before he started getting his health regeneration for not being in combat. But yeah, eventually he went down. Thankfully, there was some doggos there, some good boys that took him down for me. And there you go, we've taken down a fire staff, which is pretty impressive, right? But I hope this video has been like informative, and hopefully you guys will try out the heavy crossbow too, because I've never seen anyone using it, and it's extremely strong. Like it definitely like hits back against a lot of people. But like I said, there is problems against people who have like, very kitey builds, like maybe frost and all that, because they'll just be able to like stay away from you and then get their health back. So you might want to run like some fish or some regeneration foods in case you get those fights where they just run off and try to get their health back. But you know, that's more complex fighting where you have a bunch of different foods and different potions in order like to, you know, fight different people in different situations. But I feel like that's a little bit too try hard for me. I prefer to just have what I have and fight to the best of my ability with what I got on me at the moment. So yeah, boys, that's gonna be it for me. Catch you in the next one. Living in a crowded dream, searching for the quiet that you need to